Welcome to the Elevate Your Equity podcast, where we, as married busy professionals, leverage real estate investing to unlock the 3+1 degrees of freedom: health, location, time, and financial.
Today, I am joined by Miss Vinki Loomba. Vinki, how are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks, Derek.
Awesome. It is an honor to have you on our podcast, and thank you for your time today. And for those who don't know about Vinki, she is a successful entrepreneur and strategist with background in commercial real estate, information technology, and in academia. She's an expert in strategic planning and management with a strong ability to connect the dots. She's a founder of Loomba Investment Group and loves to help people find their financial freedom. Today, she has a stake in multiple syndications, and she's completed 2 full cycles this year in 2022, which is awesome. So we'll probably have to touch on that. She's also a philanthropist and supports a nonprofit organization dedicated to empowering women and children to break the cycle of poverty. Very honorable and noble causes. Thank you, Vinki. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, Derek, and thanks for having me on your show. I'm super excited to be here today with you.
Absolutely. I loved coming on your show and talking about mindset. I was super jazzed for like a couple of days after we did our podcast. So I'm really hoping that we'll be able to bring that same energy and excitement here for this one. And I'm sure that we will. So let's go ahead and start at the beginning. Vinki, how did you first get started investing in real estate? Like, could you tell us where that one spark, that one moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to invest in real estate came from?
Yeah, sure. If you know that I come from an IT background, being in IT, my husband was in IT as well. He was IT manager, same with me. And when we bought our second home, both of us, because we could afford the first one, not to sell it, but to rent it. So when we rent our first home, we realized there's a passive income flow. So we thought, oh, we figured out, let's do it, let's multiply it. And we started doing that. But after a while, we realized that's too much with the 2 W-2 jobs and 2 young kids. So we put it in the back burner. So long story short, I came back to it about 3-4 years back. I just stepped back into real estate and started investing as an LP. And now I'm part of multiple deals as a GP.
That's awesome. Now, let's back up to the time where you said that you and your husband were kind of doing this together. Can you remember back when you first were introduced with real estate? What was it about real estate that allowed you guys to get your first investment going all those years ago?
That was the passive income stream, because we didn't know nothing about real estate. We were just like totally IT people, just going to work, corporate people, didn't know anything other than that, and didn't even pay attention to anything else. Mm-hmm. It just came by luck, you can say, or by chance. What happened was we're looking to buy a bigger house. We had 2 young kids. Our bedroom was 3 bedroom, 2 bath. And we wanted to just go to a little bit, bigger house. And we bought our second house that was 5 bedrooms and 3-4 bathrooms. We thought, okay, this is good enough for us. We moved there. Mm-hmm. And then my husband says, we do not need to sell it right now because we wanted to do 1031 exchange because we were going to make some money on that. Then he said, let's not do it right now because I do not have the bandwidth. I do not have the time. Let's put it on rent. So we put it on rent. So what? We realized that, we have a passive income stream. We have some money coming every month. So that was like, this is really good. Let's take the equity out and let's buy more. So we started buying duplexes, and we did that multiple times. And then I thought, oh my God, this is the best thing to do ever. Let me get my realtor license. I got my realtor license. I'm like, okay, I can do this as my side hustle with my corporate job. And on the weekends, I can just go sell homes. But then later I realized I don't want to sell homes. Maybe I wanted to sell businesses because you were making 10% commission in the businesses. So I started selling businesses. But what happened was when I was trying to do my W-2 job and plus selling the businesses, it was like way too much, plus 2 young kids, plus 2 full-time jobs, a lot of traveling. And one day when I just came home from a travel and my husband was ready to leave, his bags were packed, and he's like, you know what, we need to talk. I only have 2 minutes, but I wanted to tell you one thing. You can do only one thing. Either you can do your real estate or you can keep your corporate job. But, not knowing the power of real estate at that time, I picked corporate job over my real estate career. because I thought that was just like more refined white collar thing and kind of just like ideal from my, at that stage of my life. Later on, I realized, oh my God, that was the wrong choice maybe at that time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight's always 2020. I think that we take away some stuff from our W-2 jobs that we just are, help us get ready for when we are ready to hit the ground running. You never know how it would have worked out if you had gone into real estate back then. But what
Yeah.
I found really interesting was the fact that it sounds like your husband had a vocabulary in real estate, and because he was kind of like helping to do all this. And I just love the fact that you guys were like, well, let's take the old house and let's just rent it out. That is a
Mhm.
huge decision that most people would not take lightly. I mean, you got to become a landlord. Sometimes you're doing the property management, or someone you have to hire someone. And so do you know where he got his knowledge from? I'm just curious now at this point.
Yeah, I think our friend circle, because a lot of our
Ah,
friends, they were doing the real estate. They were just you can say the landlords, and we used to kid with them all the time, like you're the slum landlords, They were just buying the smaller homes and renting that, but we didn't know the power of passive income flow at that time. Just
yeah,
being corporate is a different mindset, and we did everything. I think that's the wrong thing me and my husband did. That's how we got burned out. We knew about it a little bit from our friends that they're doing it, we can do it too. Since we can afford our second home, we can put the first one on rent. That was the
sure.
first realization. And once we did that, after that, we started multiplying. But the only wrong thing that we did was we did not hire any property manager.
Oh,
We were just doing it everything ourselves because we saw our friends doing it. We thought we can do the same thing. We had a couple people, we hired them and they used to go fix any like kind of fixer kind of thing, small things. And then my husband, he thought, okay, I'm going to tell my tenants, up to $100, I'm going to reimburse to them. They can just get it fixed themselves. But after that, still, when you multiply, that's too much. When you have multiple rentals, it's hard to manage. And that's
yeah.
what we got into at one point. And then we stepped into business side because I was selling the retail businesses. So we started, okay, that's a good area to invest as well, or buy some businesses for ourselves. So that's what we did. We got into the liquor stores. But then at the time, I think we needed somebody like on the property management side, but not having the proper knowledge, like how to manage the whole thing. We decided, okay, let's put this on the back burner. Let's just reduce our footprint and let's not do it for very long. We'll come back to it someday. And that's what exactly happened. When I left my W-2 job 5 years ago, I thought I'm kind of retired now. I'm not sure if I wanted to work anymore because I did my share. I was in the corporate world for 22 years.
Right.
I asked my husband, would you like me to work at this point? And he was like, no, it's up to you. I don't really care. I think we are at the good spot right now. But what happened then, we started traveling. And one day when we came back from Egypt, I woke up with this strong feeling like 3:00, 3:30 in the morning, that if I die right now, I did not do anything in this world other than, supporting my family or making money or just doing everything for my family. So maybe this is my time to give back, even though we do not need anything. Maybe we should, put ourselves in a position to help others. Maybe I should start working, but I didn't want to go back to the corporate world. So I picked real estate again. And this time I wanted to go into merger and acquisitions. I literally got my real estate license reinstated within a week. I had to take the test again because I let it expire on me. I took the test, I got it reinstated. Then I was looking how to break into merger and acquisitions because I thought that's going to be the best part for me. Having the knowledge of the corporate world, and went through so many mergers during my tenure. And I was looking at LinkedIn, I was checking, who can help me, who's already in that space. And then I ran into somebody's profile that read 400 million asset under management. I'm like, wow, this guy used to work with me. Oh, what happened within a couple of years? So I called him. I'm like, hey, what's going on? How did that happen? Then he told me the power of multifamily investing. I'm like, boom, I wanted to do that too. So that's kind of, end of story, or rest all is history. And I'm here today. I'm really enjoying the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say too that you're doing very, very well at it, and your success has gone up like a rocket ship since I first met you in Vinny's syndication group, which is, by the way, for folks out there, highly recommend you look into him. He's got a lot of great knowledge to share and just a great person in general as a mentor and an individual. But, I love the story of this inflection point, right? Where you sat back and you said, if I was to die right now, there's still work to be done. Where do you think that came from? Like where I know that you had a life of being busy with a bunch of kids at home, and you're trying to do all these multiple things at one time, and it was too much at one point. And then, life started changing. But can you talk us through how your mindset evolved through that to where you got to that inflection point to led you to this rocket ship right now?
Actually, there's a story behind it too, so I'm going to share that story as well. So I'm a very spiritual background because I'm from India. So we grew up with some spiritualism, some essence of religion, everything is involved in there. So that's kind of inbuilt in my DNA. But I think I was not working my full potential. I'm going to say that, whether I'm working in the corporate world, because you kind of pigeonhole yourself. You have a corporate background as well. So not all the time you're using your full 100% potential. But I always wanted to do something else. That's the reason we were just doing the rentals and the businesses, aside from our primary job. But in 2010, I think, not 12, 2010, a very kind of awakening experience happened. We just came back from India and I got really sick. I went to the doctor and then they found out that I have acute liver damage. I was hospitalized. I was in UCSF for 10 days. And they told me I need a liver transplant. So they got all the paperwork, everything ready for me. And day before the transplant, they were going to do a biopsy. So the day I was going to get the biopsy, that early morning, they were going to do some echocardiogram. They took me for the echocardiogram. So that's where this life-death experience happened, on the table where I was lying for my echocardiogram, that all of a sudden, it was 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, I started seeing all the lights. My eyes were open. I could not see anything. I was just seeing lights, bubbles of lights, yellow, blue. I can vividly remember everything. And it lasted like literally for a few minutes, because my daughter was standing next to me and I kept telling her, I cannot see you. And she's like, Mom, no, please lie down. She was trying to put me back in the bed and I just kept getting up. And then she called the doctors and nurses and they took me back to my room. And I still remember that I could feel everything around me, but I was seeing only lights. They brought me back to my room. And after that, they put me on some IV, whatever. The weird thing happened was all the numbers of the wrong numbers, the INR numbers, whatever numbers they call for the enzymes, they started changing. And my body started healing automatically. So nothing happened to me. And they sent me back home after 4 days, no transplant, no nothing. They said, you are all okay. It's a miracle, whatever happened.
Wow.
So that changed my life. I got into the spiritual path because I got into kind of a shock kind of state, because I was feeling not connected to the outer world anymore. It was kind of a depression, you can call it, because that was my first encounter to death. Because before that, I never realized that I'm going to die ever, because I thought I'm invincible. So that kind of shifted everything for me. So destiny had something else in store for me. So whatever happened today or wherever I am today, it's just all my life path, whatever happened, all the incidents.
Wow, that's very powerful. Oh man. So do you, this spiritual experience that you went through, this near death experience that you went through, do you have this experience fresh in mind to help inform some of your decisions on the strategic level? Has it taught you to become more intuitive and listen to your gut and things, or what have you taken away from this that you're using in your business right now? Because this is an incredible story.
Yes, it is there all the time. That's a really good question, actually, because you look at things differently, because you are never in a situation, you're always outside. Like you're an observer, you are seeing the situation in front of you, and then you're making the decision. You are not entangling yourself with the situation or the problem. You are like more
Yeah.
at the problem solver end, and things are happening so seamlessly for you. And you just like, sometimes I get amazed looking at them, like how all these things are happening, because I'm not entangled. I'm not victimizing myself anymore. I'm just looking, if something happens, I'm like, oh, wow, happened, it's okay. What is the lesson there for me? So it's just like looking at a problem from a different angle now versus worrying, oh my God, this thing happened to me. Why this happened to you? I never asked why this happened to me. I just asked myself, what is the lesson there to learn for me? What I'm doing wrong? How can I not let this happen to me next time?
Mhm.
So this is like a little bit mindset shift right there, how things are happening.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. Whew, that's really powerful. Has there been any recent experiences in the business where this lesson that you've learned here has changed your decision or changed your direction in any recent decisions recently? Or is it something that's just you wake up with every day and it's just part of your thing and you think about every single day and it's just part of who you are?
Yeah, I think it becomes part of you
Mhm.
because when you're living, it's just like you just are learning and growing. That's why I name my meetup to Learn and Grow, because you're
Yeah.
learning every second of your life.
Mm.
Because your life becomes like that. Every day you have, for myself, I just think that every day I have to learn something new. And if I did not learn something new a day, I just feel like the day is wasted.
Yeah.
But there's so much knowledge out there, and there's no possible way that everybody knows everything or anybody knows everything, you know. So it's like you kind of live in the moment. I live in the moment. I live in present moment all the time. I'm present. I try to stay present. It's a practice.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're doing it over and over again, it becomes your second nature, that you're present in the moment. Like I'm talking to you, I'm right here. My mind is here with you. I'm not going anywhere else. Because most of the time before, it was like I was like in 20 different directions, not focused, not paying attention what's going on, and asking the same questions 20 times and still like wondering, oh, what's going on? Why I'm not getting it?
Yeah.
The problem is the focus, you know.
Mhm.
The problem is you're not in the flow. So I'm kind of in a state of flow. I know my good friend, Christopher Nelson, he says that all the time. He's like, Vinki, we are in a flow. He uses that every time. Vinki, is your flow. The things happen seamlessly to you when you're in a flow state. And what
Yeah.
is a flow state? Because whatever you're doing, practicing over and over again, you hit a plateau at some time. And after that, you're kind of in a flow state. You don't even realize you're doing something. It's just like comes automatically to you, everything.
Yeah, time just flows automatically. You don't have to, you don't thinking about it, and you're just unconsciously doing what needs to be done. And odds are you're doing it very well because
Exactly.
you're just tapped into the present moment with that. And I love that so much. Have you learned a way from your experience and in your business, uh, your business knowledge in working with this specific experience and how you operate? Is there a way that you can tap into that at will, or is there any techniques that you're able to use? I know there's some books out there on this resource as well. There's a Flow that was written by his name is tricky, Mikhail
Yeah,
Chicks.
Mihai,
Yeah,
Mihai. I love
Csikszentmihalyi,
him.
something
Yeah, I
like that.
have
Yeah.
all his books. Not all, I have a few of his books.
Yeah. But is there anything that like you could recommend to folks out there who maybe can try to start to tap into the spiritual strength, whatever their experience is or was? Is there any advice there? I know it's a question to put you on the spot, but I don't mean to do that. But I'm just wondering if you have any advice to tap into that spiritual side for business owners.
Yeah, of course. I think it's like first of thing is you need to stay in the present moment. Everybody talks about this. Stay in the present
Yeah.
moment. It's kind of cliche. Now everybody says that,
Yeah.
right? But nobody really knows what it means to be present in the present moment because everybody's so caught up in their mind and they have entangled themselves, like so many things are going all around them. And it's very hard to calm their mind down. So staying in the present moment is that your mind is completely calm. There's no thoughts. You're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how to explain that because once you have that feeling in you, right here, right now, you feel so contented. You don't even need anything to fulfill you because everybody is a complete being in himself or herself. There is no outer stimulation or anything needed to complete you.
That's so great. So it's more about contentment, being in the present moment, and just knowing who you are as a person, right? And that takes does that take some time to to have that introspection? Because I know I struggled with this also, whatever your spirituality is, and we've been working, at least my wife and I have been working on this for some time, and we still struggle with this from time to time. And do you have any tools that you use as a reminder? Is there part of a daily practice that you use to kind of keep this up? Or let's talk about that just real quick.
Yeah, sure. I do have a daily practice. I spend a couple hours with me every morning. Believe me or not, 2 hours are for myself. I get up in the morning. I'm just like, when I get up too, I'm always in the meditative state. And the first thing I ask for myself when I wake up is what I'm supposed to do today, what I'm supposed to accomplish today. What is so important for me today that I woke up? Because waking up in the morning is the best thing can happen to anybody. And we should be thankful for that moment that we got another day in our life to do something meaningful. So that's the question I asked. Then I think, okay, I visualize. So I'm going to make this day a meaningful day because it's your choice. And I make a choice to be happy all day long, despite or whatever happens, And then I have so much energy throughout the day. I can work 10 hours, 12 hours without even food, without even water. I don't even care. But awesome. Anything, seriously. And my husband, he goes crazy sometimes. Like, what's up with you? You got to eat on time. It's just like such an imbalanced life. And I feel that too sometimes. It's an imbalanced life because I'm not paying attention to food or anything because I'm just enjoying whatever I'm doing so much. Yeah. And then when I go to bed at night, I just, again, I'm very grateful for the whole day, whatever happened. And Tarek, what happens is when I wake up early morning, I just get everything, whatever I missed day before, that I missed these things and I need to do this today, first thing in the morning, because my mind is so calm, because I shut it off, whatever, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to think about anything. I'm just being grateful for the whole day, that it was a meaningful day. I'm going to start again the next morning. So next morning, it's just a reminder set in my mind, tells me, okay, you forgot to do these things yesterday. So start your day with that. Wow. So I really enjoy that. And then I do really spend 2 hours every morning on myself. I meditate, I do some yoga, and I do have some practices that I follow that just really connects me with the source. And when you're connected with the source, it's just like you get so much energy to do so much stuff.
Yeah. And you have the perspective and the courage to do what needs to be done, right? Even if it's something that would normally give you some sense of fear, you become fearless. And what I really love about that, Vinki, was you talked about how you made the choice to have it be a good day right when it starts. And that's so simple. It's mind-bendingly simple, but it's so effective because if you're making that conscious choice, now you've got that all advantage wrapped up in you, and the world has to fight you to make it a bad day, and usually it doesn't end up winning because you're in control of yourself. I love this so much. This is awesome stuff. I do want to pivot though, and I want to ask you just a couple of questions before we head into the rapid round here. And sure. The first one is, knowing what you know now, if there is one thing that you wish you could go back in time and tell yourself 10 years ago, back in 2012, or 15 years ago, in that range, right? What would you tell yourself back then that would trigger or kind of bring you to the next level, you think?
I would say never give up. You have so much potential to do anything. Everybody has the same potential. It's our choices that limit us. Do this thing versus do that thing.
Awesome. And do you think that back then, when if you were ready to hear that, what do you think would have changed if you had heard that? What would you have done differently?
I wouldn't have given up real estate. They ask me, oh, what would you change in your life if we say, okay, go back in your life and change something? What one thing will change? And usually my answer is, I won't change anything. I'll keep it as is. Because if I haven't done whatever I have done in my past life, I wouldn't have been here where I am today. I would have been somewhere else, right? But I'm enjoying this space. I was supposed to be here. I meant to be here. That's the reason I did whatever I was supposed to do to get here.
Yeah.
But I do have one regret still, that I should have started in real estate investing like 20 years ago.
It's really funny.
I started that, but I did not do it strategically.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I think that's cool. And I imagine a lot of my guests, if I asked that same question, they would probably also say something similar, because man, it's been an incredible run for commercial real estate. And, one last question I want to ask, because we're here in this point of time. So full disclosure to everyone listening to this podcast, it's being recorded in Q4, the beginning of Q4 of 2022. But, Vinki, I wanted to ask you, what is your outlook on the economy in general? Like, what type of things are you seeing? I know that you're a very well connected person and you like to talk with others and brainstorm and strategize with others. What is your network telling you about where we're headed with this economy in 2023 and beyond that, as far as fundamentals and buying and things like that?
Everybody is thinking, that we are at the verge of recession, because that's the talk of the town. Everybody thinks that. But sometimes I think that there is a lot going on, people are talking, and whatever everybody's saying, the opposite things happen. But not this time, because there might, we do see some, things that's happening that's taking us towards the recession, and the inflation is like big time hitting us. And then finding the right deals in this time, it's just like super crazy. And investors' money is kind of squeezed because they're out of all the dry powder, thinking that, we need to hold on to everything because of the inflation and the upcoming recession. The economy does not look that good. But what we don't understand in this whole scenario is, if you connect all the dots, if we are not doing whatever we are supposed to do, the economy is not going to get better, because we are part of the economy, because every person is contributing up to some extent. All the things are going, but the thing is, this is all the limitations and all the fears that's happening. And that's why, things are turning kind of inwards more. People don't want to invest. People are scared. There's a lot of hesitation. And then people feel there's not a lot of good deals out there. It's hard to find good deals, but you can still find good deals.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Absolutely. You can always find them. It just takes some conservative underwriting, a lot of due diligence, a lot of practice, and good relationships and creativity. But I do think it's out there. And I agree with you. I think that, people are starting to pull back a little bit, but it doesn't mean that this is a bad time to invest. And my personal opinion, like when everyone looks at the headlines, right, and conventional consumers or even sophisticated consumers see that the housing market is crashing on the news, on CNN or on Fox or whatever. As you see these headlines, you have to keep in mind that these headlines are for mostly homeowners who are looking to buy houses.
Exactly, the single family. This was going to say, family.
Because it's
the location matters too, like where.
Correct. Yeah, everything is local. And so one thing I want to point out for those investors, and again, full disclaimer, because we're in the first part of Q4 of 2022, but generally what that means is that with home prices going up and inflation going up and rates going up all at the same time, then it's harder for these homeowners or potential homeowners to buy or to get into a new house. So what they have to do is either stay where they are or rent. What does that mean for folks who own commercial real estate, right? So just something to think about for those folks who are scared of what's going on out there is that sometimes it makes sense to take a look at the headlines, look at it with some presence, right? Like be really present and give it some thought, like really think about what's happening, because there will be some really great opportunities coming up that Vinki and I will no doubt be taking full advantage of in the future.
That's true. And plus I wanted to say one thing, like Warren Buffett said, when people are scared, that's the best time to invest. And I don't think there could be any better time than this to invest in the commercial real estate right now.
Yep.
Like you said, single family, yes, they're going down, but the commercial real estate is going to go up. It's kind of recession proof because people need a place to stay.
Yes, and the data supports that. If you go look at the Fed charts, you can see every time there's a change in the GDP for the United States, that goes up and down during every recession, but the vacancy level for apartment buildings just stays level throughout all of them, pretty much, within like a very small band of like 4% vacancy or something. So it's a very interesting thing for sure. And yeah, I'm very, very bullish on commercial real estate. The last thing I'm going to say about this and ask for your 2 cents is that a very wise investor told me he thinks that right now the supply of multifamily units and housing in general is very small. It's like this. The demand is like this, and that's what's causing the price to just go up, right? And what's happening is the demand is shrinking to catch up with the supply just because of the way that the rates are going, right? But eventually, the Fed is going to have to start lowering the rates again, and the supply is still constrained because no one's building anything because no one wants to work. Building supplies are high, all those things. And so the demand is going to go up, right? And the supply is going to continue to be strained, which means we're going to have increased prices in the future throughout this recession. So it's cool to think about the supply always being constrained and the demand is just kind of fluctuating based on what the Fed does. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? You think that that's accurate?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% because I was in a seminar, I think last week or a couple of weeks back. It was an economic forum, and that's what they were talking about, that exactly, that there's a shortage of homes. And then I do not recall the number, like how many 100,000 or whatever the number was, I do not recall that. And we are below that number, way below that number. And then I'm not sure about the new constructions, how much is going to come up in the, next few years or whatever to mitigate that gap. But there is certainly, huge upward trend for the multifamily or the commercial renting, because people are going to be renting. They always need a place to stay. That's what they were talking about. Like, wow. So everybody's talking about inflation and recession, but it's not necessarily going to affect the commercial real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I couldn't agree more. I'm glad that our circles are both converging on the same answer. That's good. So awesome. Very cool. Well, hey, Vinki, this is awesome. And I wish we had more time because we could be doing this for the whole day because there's so much to talk about here. There's spirituality, there's mindset, there's market dynamics, there's W2 escape. And I think we'll have to have you back on again to talk more about this and hear more about the story for sure. But what we should do is we should head into our rapid round, which is the same 5 questions we ask every one of our guests, and they're meant to be answered in like a 30-second quick time frame. So number 1, what book has had the biggest impact on you and why? And we hope that it's not Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or the Bible, because we get those all the time.
Okay, so the book I will say by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
Yes.
Law, that has the biggest impact on me. And I used to use that book or refer to that book when I used to teach at California State University, as part of the MBA program. And I do used to refer to that book all the time and recommend to everybody.
Awesome. Very cool. Nice. Number 2, if people wanted to emulate your success, what do you think is the first actionable thing they could do to follow in your footsteps?
Take the first step. Action. Simple.
Just do it.
Just do it. Don't worry about right or wrong. Just do it, because that's the first step.
Yeah.
Unless you try, you don't know if it's right or wrong.
So true. So true. And even if it's wrong, you're still making progress.
Exactly. Because you learn from your mistakes. Yeah.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we learn more from our mistakes than we do. So it's a matter of fear and trying to battle that fear and being present in the present moment. See, going back full circle.
Yes.
Number 3, what is one tool, process, or hack in the last 3 months that you've used to help save you time and or effort in either your business or personal life?
I would say Zapier.
Yeah.
That helped me a lot, because what happened was I took care of so much manual process with my Calendly, with my Zoom and everything. So all the meetup group, whoever's registering, everybody's going into my database through Zapier. It worked for me, and I really like that.
That's a very good, powerful tool. For those who don't know, it is free up to, I think, like 200 uses per month or something.
100.
Yeah, 100. And it's very recommended just to play with it, just to see what you can do and start like thinking and playing, tinkering with these tools, working together. Very cool stuff. I love that. All right, number 4. If the people that you know had to describe you with one word, what word would that be?
Say ambitious. I heard that a lot of time, and I heard it in both ways, in positively and negatively too. Because some people, they think you're ambitious or it's negative, why you're so ambitious. But regardless of what people say, I just keep on doing whatever I'm doing. Because one wise person told me a long time ago, when people are jealous of you, it means you're doing something really
That's
good
right.
for doing that.
That's absolutely right. I love it. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Last question I have for you is, what small thing do most people not know about you? I know that's really hard for podcast guests because, you know, a lot of us is out there, but
I'm a very good cook.
that is very good. Awesome. That's another reason for me to come to California.
That's true. I'm like the chef level of cook.
That's awesome. Very cool. I bet your family loves you for that. That's very cool.
That's true. Everybody loves me, not just my family, all my friends circle too. You can ask Vinny, actually.
I will do that. I actually will after this call. I love it. Well, Vinki, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you on. But before we end the show, can you remind everyone or tell everyone how they can find out more about what's going on in your world, how they can connect with you, and so on and so forth?
Yes, I love to help everybody around me, all my friend circle and beyond. I'm in the real estate investing. My focus is multifamily, and also we are part of some development projects too in self-storage. So if anybody is looking for a passive income flow, please feel free to reach out. I'm all over the social media, but I'm going to give you only one. You can reach out to me via LinkedIn, or you can go to my website and you can connect with me from there.
Yes, excellent. And we'll go ahead and put all of that information in the show notes page for this specific podcast that's linking directly to Vinki's stuff. So we hope that you will be visiting that site over there for more reference, more information. Vinki, such a great time having you on. We need to do this again.
Thank you so much. I loved it too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And for you listeners who have made it all the way to the end of this podcast, really want to thank you. And wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Anything you can do to interact with us will help us appease those algorithm gods so we can get more and more exposure to more and more of our audience members and also fantastic guests just like Vinki. So thank you very much for tuning in. Vinki, once again, awesome having you on. And everyone, this is Derek. I'm signing off for the day. We'll see you next week.